Welcome to Northwest Football Show. I'm Josh Robinson, and this is Chad Fisher. This past week, we took on the Temple Tigers down in Temple, Georgia. Long trip for our guys, especially to check on their maturity level and ability to stay focused when there's other things that could distract them, like a bus ride, weather, and such. And thankfully, we had some good weather. Our guys responded really well. We beat an undefeated Temple team, and there's people that don't understand the fact that we beat Temple bad last year, so they just assumed that would happen this year. They're a much improved team. They had, I believe, 13, 14 new starters, and all of those guys were back. They only graduated 2 guys off their team. I believe they're averaging close to 40 points and giving up about 10 per game coming into our game. So it's certainly a tough task, and our guys proved that they were up to it, Coach Fisher.
Yeah, anytime you go on the road for a 2.5-hour ride and leave school early and you change your plans, and everything about the whole day was completely different from what they're used to, you kind of find out what kind of kids you've got and the type of character they have. I thought their maturity level was very well. The trip worked out well. We broke it up in segments to go to have a walkthrough, to go eat, and I thought they responded well. We started a little bit slow, obviously, as the game started, but we got once we kind of got rolling, the things kind of worked out in the way that we want them to work out. So very pleased with how they responded, very pleased with how they played, and you're right, we did play a very good Temple team.
So certainly a good week and a good job building up to our region play, which starts in a couple of weeks since we're off this week. But nonetheless, we're proud of our young men. Let's start about talking our passing game. Owen Brooker was 12 for 21 with 149 yards, 1 touchdown, and we unfortunately contributed a couple more drops this week.
Yeah, we had. I think we had 4 drops this week, but Owen's played well. He's continued to get better. Anytime you're playing a 9th grader, you kind of never know what to expect, and he's handled himself very mature. In a mature way, very professionally, and he continues to get better and continues to learn each week.
Owen also had 5 carries for 32 yards. He's starting to pull the ball. We're starting to give him a little bit more reins as far as the ability to construct the whole offense. As he gets older and more comfortable, we're going to do that. Our other running backs, Gavin Ellis had 21 carries for 79 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, Gavin has really stepped up his role, especially with Chase getting hurt. So we've kind of reduced it down to 2 running backs, and Gavin has done a fantastic job of just kind of banging it up in there and really learning the offense and taking ownership in what he's doing. Bryce Mantooth is another one that has played really well, has really done a great job out of the backfield catching the ball. Carried the ball 3 times for 10 yards, but had a great night receiving the ball, had 2 crucial 3rd down receptions that really extended drives for us.
We really miss Chase Gentry and his speed, and we wish him recovery. He was able to have surgery and get through that, so it'll be a while before he gets back on the football field, but we certainly look forward to that. But in his absence, it's unfortunately one of those things where injuries happen and it's next man up, and those 2 guys did a good job. And then Bailey McQuaid came in from the defensive side and had 5 carries for 13 yards and added a touchdown.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had 13 carries for 3 other guys with Bryce, Owen, and Bailey, and with Bailey being able to come in there and kind of pound it a little bit up in there, it's made us kind of equal, the carries and the touches. So very pleased with what he did. Very pleased with all 3 of them, how they ran the football.
Matthew Redmond was our leading receiver as far as number of receptions, with 5 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown.
Man, Matthews had a fantastic night for us. Started off a little slow early, dropped a couple of balls, maybe had a pass interference call that probably should have gotten called, but he was able to contribute and do the things that we needed him to do. The surprise was being able to move Cooper Pardee over from defense to offense, and he really came in and really contributed in a big way for us.
Yeah, he had 3 catches for 54 yards. Cooper's a talented young man. We had an immediate need at DB, and he has filled that need to kind of spell Matthew and rotate in with our secondary guys and give everybody a little bit of break, especially with Matthew playing so much on offense. So it was nice to see him come out and perform really well. And then you talked about Bryson Mantooth earlier. He ended up with 3 catches for 43 yards.
Yes, and like I said, those 2 crucial 3rd down receptions were very big. They extended drives. Both drives resulted in scores. So very pleased with how Bryce is playing. Now we've just got to get him a few more touches out of the backfield.
Absolutely. You know, he's going to do some good things for us. And then Ethan Inslee came in with a really big catch, a 10-yard gain. I believe it was on third down. It was a tough catch.
Yeah, it started the third quarter off on it and continued that drive.
Absolutely. So a good job by him. At this time, let's take a look at our first half highlights.
So here we are. We open up a first play of the game. We give a nice little run to Gavin. Nice little set it up with a motion play. We get a little good yardage, clean up the hole right there. We sprint out right here with Owen. He's got to get rid of it a little bit quicker, but Matthew makes a nice little catch right there on the sidelines.
Get a punt off. Matthew did a great job. I believe he was right around 39 yards punting, I believe. Great kick, non-returnable, all net yards were the full punt yards. Awesome play right here by Dakota Hickman. He's got the lower part of his jersey. I know it's hard to see there, but unfortunately they call it horse collar. Kind of helps their drive keep going. Great tackle by Zach Coslow. And they really drive the ball this first possession down for us. And you're going to see in a moment our guys kind of fly around like right here. And we're giving up too many yards, but we get down the goal line. We end up making them go out on downs, which is really good by our defense here. You can see our bodies flying around, and you know we find a way to keep him out of the end zone. Maybe a little bit too much yardage. Here, a great job by Matthew Redmond hitting him before he gets in. A little 156-pounder hitting that 220-pound running back, and that was fourth down. That was big for our offense, certainly, to end the first half that way, or first quarter. Unfortunately, they scored, come back on offense.
Yeah, this is where we hit Cooper on a slant route, and we started to get a little drive going. We give it to Gavin right here, going up the middle. We start inking it out and starting to get our feet wet a little bit and start moving the ball. Nice little screen route. This is one of our third down completions to Bryson. We pick up close to 20-plus yards right here.
Great job by Reed Chadwick getting downfield and throwing the block on the screen.
Gavin there on the little power play. I'd like to see him hit the hole inside. He bounces it a little bit, and if we'd stayed inside, we probably get a little more yards. Big crucial touchdown pass right there to Matthew. Nice throw and catch. This is a route that we'd put in and we'd worked it all week, and nice throw right there.
Hold by Matthew Redmond, snap by Logan Akins, and the extra point by Yahir Zapata. And Yahir does a great job. I believe this is the first one he puts in the end zone all year. We've really changed our kicking game. We kick it so many different ways. Here you can see a host of Bruins. There was Jordan McCamish. We talk about in a little bit about how much more disciplined he is getting in on a tackle. Zach Coslow giving the center a difficult night. I'm sure that young man was happy to see number 47 leave, and we come back on offense.
Yes, here we go. We still running our little trap play. Gavin right there, nice little lead block and a nice little run, throwing his head up in there and keeping his legs moving, keeping the chains playing ahead. The thing we did this week is we played ahead of the chains. We didn't get ourselves in a lot of long yardage situations.
No, this is a big catch by Bryce here on third down, but still it's 3rd and 4, so it's much more manageable.
Absolutely. It's a lot easier to call a game when you have short yardage situations. Nice little pull by Owen, and this is what we had talked about earlier. He's starting to understand the offense a little bit better and starting to read it and do some things to make us a little bit more dynamic.
Those defensive ends, one of them got an offer from South Alabama. The other one is the nose here is getting some looks by some Division II schools. So we're playing against a good defense, and our guys were much more physical and executed a lot better running the trap here. Probably one of the best executed plays we had all night with Gavin Ellis hitting it for a pretty big game.
Absolutely.
We end up missing a blocking assignment, and we fumble. Good coverage by Jacob Sanders here, and the defense trying to keep them down deep. At this point, you know, it's 7-7, very much anybody's ball game. Our guys are physical. We're flying around. We cause a fumble there, and unfortunately they don't give it to us. We have to come back out on defense. It's clearly out, as you can see here, and they end up marking it down. But regardless, they come back and run the counter, and they've just got nowhere to go. Jordan McCamish in on the tackle. Our guys just doing the things that we've asked them to do when we come back on offense.
I think this is the drive right before the half where we get the field goal. Nice little slant route to Cooper. Had a way to keep his feet moving and get positive yards. Picked up about 12 yards right there.
We ended up actually punting the ball away, and then we have a big hit here in a moment that gets a turnover. They try to run the counter. They really like that as the game goes on. Our guys did a good job of listening and knowing that. I believe this is it by Colby Ramsey coming up. Does a good job taking on the block there and ends up turning it back into Logan Akins and Bailey McQuaig, who really had a physical game. Here's a great job by Ramsey getting a hit, and Dakota Hickman, D lineman, able to scoop it up and unfortunately gets tackled, but still good for us because we come back on offense.
Right, here we Gavin kind of get positive yards, put us in second and about 6. We get a nice, put us in field goal range.
We end up kicking a field goal, which is huge, to go up 10-7 at the half. At this time, we ended up kicking it here and getting them out. I believe this is the last play of the half as Jordan McCamish and Zach Coslow are in on the tackle. At this time, let's take a look at our corporate sponsors.
Gavin Ellis, number 24, running back. Old classic country. Usually I watch some Marshawn Lynch highlights on YouTube. Probably the first game this year when I scored my first varsity touchdown and jumping in the end zone. I have a YouTube channel and I play Fortnite and I live stream sometimes. I want to go to Australia so I can learn the accent. I got Gum Put in My Shorts by Chase Humble. I had a long run one year, sophomore year, against Southeast in a JV game, and I got tackled on the 1 yard line and I didn't score. I slept with my mom until I was like 11 years old because I was scared of the dark. Well, I have a YouTube channel, most people know, and I play Fortnite on there sometimes. I want to thank my mom, my dad, my friends, and my coaches. Gavin Ellis, number 24, running back.
Welcome back to the Northwest Bruin Football Show. I'm Josh Robinson. This is Chad Fisher. Our defense played a really good game, coming in against at the time, the second leading rusher in the state of Georgia. I believe he was averaging 13 yards a carry and about 270 yards a game. We held him to 4 yards a carry and 136 yards. So a good night overall.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Our guys.
Our defense has played lights out all year, and anytime you can stop a young man like Temple had, that's a great feat, and like I said, I think our kids have really rose to the challenge. Returning 8 to 9 starters from last year's team has really catapulted our defense to doing great things. Dakota Hickman's a guy that really played well Friday night, 11 tackles, 5 for loss, had a sack, and had a fumble recovery.
A good night by Dakota, all our D linemen that we're going to talk about in just a moment, but an exceptional night by him. He really was able to weave through there, and again, they're, like most weeks, they were a lot bigger than us, but we were able to utilize our speed to our advantage.
Absolutely. Chase Humble's another young man that played well. He's starting to get healthy. and has really come out and really played well. Had 9 tackles, had 1 forced fumble.
He did. He played an exceptional game. You know, he really played the counter really well, which was basically his assignment this particular night, and was very effective for us.
Yeah, Zach Coslow was a young man. You know, his stats, you know, had very good stats, had 9 tackles, had 2 for a loss, 2 tackles for loss. But if you watched the game and watched it and knew what you were looking for, he literally wore that dadgum center out. I mean, he abused him all night and really had a great game.
It was domination by him. Zach has came on and played really well. We want him to get to play perimeter runs a little bit better, but at the same time, you know, he's getting double and triple team, and if he can control that, we feel pretty good about his production. Jeb Brooker came on also with 7 tackles and a quarterback pressure. Let's go on and talk about our linebackers.
Bailey McQuaig is another young man that had a great night. Had 7 tackles, had 1 for a loss. We already spoke about him on offense, but had a great night on defense too.
You know, he's really turned it loose and is playing his best football right now, which he's a 2-year starter and a senior, and that's really the way it should be. His counterpart inside, Logan Akins, also had a really good night with 7 tackles. Over there involved, they're very strong side, run heavy, and he was involved in a lot of plays, and even got in on some counters opposite of him. And then one guy I'm specifically going to talk about is Kobe Ramsey. Him and Damon Banta had a very tough physical assignment. I told them if they did their job right, they're going to limp away from the game because they're going to get pulled and hit by running back, by multiple linemen, and those guys did fantastic. And Kobe came up with some awesome stats.
Yeah, Kobe had a great night. He had 9 tackles, had 4 tackles for loss, had a sack, had a forced fumble, and had 2 QB pressures.
That's exactly what we were wanting out of him. Actually, he probably stat-wise exceeded our expectations, but his play, as far as grading out percentage-wise, was right on what we needed to be successful.
And Banta played well, like you said. He had 2 tackles, had 1 for loss, and then Fawcett had a great night, had 3 tackles, had a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
He did. Coming in the second half, doing a good job. Jordan McCamish is a guy who came up with 12 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, a sack, and a pressure. It's amazing to see his progression and just understanding our defense from last year until now. He's always been a really good player, but learning and picking up on things and really taking the coaching has really allowed him to get in on more plays, and he's probably leading our team in tackles right now.
Absolutely. Our defensive backs had a really good night. They didn't throw the ball as much as we thought they would when we put them in situations. They kind of just conceded and started running the ball late there in the 4th quarter. But Hayden Pack's a young man that had 4 tackles, played well for us in secondary.
Our secondary guys were very solid. We only gave up 1 pass, and honestly, it was a really good, probably the best ball that the young man had thrown on film all year. But as you said, our guys came up. They were involved in the tackles. On the running back that was so talented. At the same time, at the end of the game, it was almost like they had enough of the physical game that we had played, and they kind of relented to just run it every time.
Absolutely. Jacob Sanders had 2 tackles, had a pass breakup, and then Keith McQuaig had 6 tackles. Not bad for a sophomore.
No, he messed up a little bit early on a big run that they had, and then he really picked it up. He's becoming more disciplined. You know, we use that catchphrase, and it's seen in football all the time about penalties and different things like that. But really, it's about doing your assignment. Keaton's becoming more disciplined in all aspects.
Absolutely. And then Matthew Redmond, closing out with Matthew Redmond and Cooper Pardee. Matthew had 5 tackles, had a pass breakup, and Cooper had 2 tackles. And again, Cooper was starting to play both ways and special teams, so he had a very busy night.
You know, we're asking a lot of Cooper and Matthew right now, but they're very good players, and you know, much received, much expected, and those guys have kind of lived up to their expectations, but we're going to need them to perform well throughout the rest of the season for us to be successful.
Yes.
This time, let's take a look at the second half highlights. We start the half off on defense. Here, good job by Bailey McQuaig. We like Logan to fit it a little tighter. But they moved the ball down the field. They came out in a couple of different formations doing a few things. They had picked up a first down running that exact same play. Right previous to that, they threw a great ball, dropped in for a first down. And you can just see at this point our guys have kind of taken over. They're feeling good about the physicality of the game. Great job by Jordan McCamish running through a block by a big young man and running through it and still getting a quarterback sack.
Here's an opening right. This was Ethan right there to start our first drive of the second half. We end up taking this drive down and scoring, so that kind of zaps the wheel out of them. Nice little run by Gavin. And we hit man-tooth right there on another 3rd and short, which was a big pickup that extended our drive. We pull it right here, and Owen does a great job of getting downfield. We even get a 15-yard late hit penalty right there. So that's a big play right there. We give it to Bailey right there on the trap, and we just kind of keep grinding. And we're just taking their will away from. This is where we score. And they say we did not score. Yeah, they said we didn't score, so we run it again and we punch it in there now. I think that's
I think he
100% touchdown. Right,
he barely got in there, didn't he, Coach? But regardless, we end up kicking the extra point. It's huge against this kind of team that's really run oriented to go up 17-7. We kick it. That's their best player. We kick it, and we're right there.
Jax Brooker misses the recovery.
Jax Brooker is right on it. Great cover guy for us as a young guy, and there's Kobe Ramsey in on the tackle with some help from the backside. Here is Zach Coslow playing the counter really well for us, and you can see Dakota Hickman with a good pass rush move, a good tackle by McCamish. And the theme that I really like is it's multiple people in on our tackles. We're not just depending on one.
There's a nice little run by Gavin. If he just looked like he went dead leg right there as he went through the hole.
Did somebody shoot him?
Yeah. Nice little throw to Cooper. Nice downfield block, and we just got to stay on there, and he just kind of loses his footing right there, and he walks in the end zone. But that was a great throw and catch. Nice job by Bryce Mantooth getting us inside the 3-yard line, and then we're going to hand it off to Gavin, and we just power our way through there. And again, this is where we've kind of taken their will away and just kind of gone through and just started hitting them in the face.
At this point, it's 24-7. We feel really good about where we're at. And they had become a little bit more predictable about passing situations and personnel changes. You can see our guys continuing again. You know, I could call out all their names, but the guys we call out on defense really coming in and being physical and flying around the football.
Nice job right here. We run a little speed option. We've got this in the book. We just don't use it a lot except certain situations, and we pick up close to 18 yards on that run. Nice job. A little helmet to helmet that they don't call, but that's okay.
Young quarterbacks got to get down, Coach.
The big thing was we kept the clock running and we kept burning time off the clock.
Matthew again with a phenomenal punt. Close, I believe this was his long of 49. Really flips the field. Good job by our offense. And again, at this point, you know, I'd love for a big run to be broken, but at the same time, we just want to be physical. We want to fly around. We want to tackle. We want to hit. And our guys are really doing the things that we've coached them to do and making an effort, and good scrape by our linebackers here. I believe they ended up picking up a first down on a penalty. Chase Humble does a great job of coming out on the counter. They're just trying so many different things that they haven't really shown up to this point. They're not really throwing the ball. Again, flying around the football, numerous people hitting them, and I know that's difficult on a young man that hadn't been hit a ton. Dakota Hickman getting away from a hold and still getting a sack. With Chase Humble and Bailey McClegg in there to assist.
There we go. Nice little. This is Bailey, one of his third carry. He just keeps grinding it and picking up 3 or 4 yards. And then again, we're just at the situation where we're just trying to run clock and get out of there. We're up 24-7 and just trying to get the clock out.
Absolutely. You know, we want to be physical. We want to be smart. And here they're running the jet. Damon Banta does a great job. He is the backup linebacker that we really feel good about. Plays some offensive line, does some various things for us, does a great job there. Here there's a scrum on the goal line, and I believe Jake Fawcett comes up with a touchdown to give us our final margin of 31-7. Really deep in the fourth quarter with Yahir Zapata adding the extra point. At this time, let's take a look at our corporate sponsors.
Bryson, number 6, linebacker. I mainly listen to rap, but I can really just vibe to anything, just whatever y'all play. I'll put it in my headphones and I'll just kind of distance myself from everybody, just kind of sit in my own little corner. The first Friday night game that I got to go out there. That I'm skinny and very pale. I want to go to Paris just because I like the Eiffel Tower and how the city's laid out and all the buildings. I took some caution tape and I wrapped it around Ethan Ensley's Jeep. During a game, back when I was still playing offensive line, I was going to block downfield and I tackled our running back. I was scared of the dark until I was about 12. I want to go into sports statistics and I hope to go work for ESPN out of college. My family, my older brother, my mom, dad, and my football coaches. Bryson, number 6, linebacker.
Welcome back to the Bruin Football Show. We look forward to seeing you guys up at Ridgeland High School in a couple of weeks. Very big football game coming for our football team against one of the region favorites. We certainly hope we continue our growth as a football team and continue on a trajectory to win a region championship. Our young men are going to work hard and prepare for that and would love to have your support up there. Until next time, this is Josh Robinson and Chad Fisher.